just realized that I always have these earphones in and something around my neck. It's okay. I'm a nerd lover, according to my partner. He's not wrong. I am. I wanted to read this without the Snapchat limit because this is a little bit longer. I would have to do it in parts. And I don't want to feel rushed. I wrote this in 2014. I have revised it since then, but most of it's the same. It's called Hallmark. It's the title I came up with last year. She lost the cancer battle in the heart of Seattle. No one who knew her will ever be the same again. Those who only knew her name will honor her from now until then. Only her family members know when she took her last breath, because they expected her to beat death. Unexpected, unwanted, unreal until it's surreal. Wounds take time to heal. Time is a thief long before we beg it not to steal from us again. The next question remains, where will her children get their next meal? Wards of the state or next of kin. To steal them is an unmistakable sin. The hallmark of poster children. It's getting dark. It's hard to see without the moonlight. Some of them never meet the next morning, and yet they're subject to the scrutiny of scorning themselves to please others because they never had mothers. Did they ever have fathers? Not one of them. That speaks volumes for the condition of a society that tells men and boys that they aren't responsible for their own children. They remember when they shared their own toys with bullies in daycare because their mother was never there. The rest of them remember a different story, a different mother, a different sister and brother. The missing mother becomes the estranged father that never bothers to check in, to be a role model to his boys. They don't get to enjoy the joys of motherhood sometimes, ever. That isn't clever. That's sad. These boys and men should be inspired to be a great dad. We might know when things will happen, but not what. That leaves things open and shut. But hope is not lost. Freedom is never free, but faith is, and that faith is always good to me. Original copyright in 2014, all rights reserved 2023. My name is Sarah Herring on here, but most of the time I copyright everything Playboy Poetry. I started out on Facebook as Princess Poetry in 2014, and sorry, something got stuck in my throat. I started out as Princess Poetry on Facebook in 2014, and I renamed my, I'll just call it work because it's not a company. I renamed my work Playboy Poetry in 2022, shortly after my best friend took his life. It was a turning point. One, it made me never want to take my own life. It actually inspired me to live. I've never been miserable without him, but I definitely know what it's like not to talk to him every day. And I think about what it would be like to talk to him every day, like we used to. 4 years ago was great. It's amazing how time changes. 10 years ago was awful, and I wrote this poem 10 years ago. I revised a lot of it. I don't think I would read the original because I wasn't satisfied with it. But yeah, it's basically about a father who doesn't care about his children, and a mother who dies early from cancer, and what happens when, sorry if my screen paused, my battery is low, and I was notified. What happens when a mother dies unexpectedly of cancer when she was expected to live? Sometimes I forgot I wrote it like that. Sometimes I've written so many poems that sometimes I simply forget what I wrote. I have about 634 poems, and I'm trying to convert them all to an app that's on my main phone so that I can make a new Apple ID. Yeah, I need to do that. It's a lot of work. A lot of work. My poems are long and they're deep, and I get caught up in them. It's hard not to, unless you're just not into it. Some people aren't. They're into shorter poetry. I do write shorter poetry. I can't remember right off the top of my head what my poem said, but it was called Murphy's Law, and it was like 4 lines. It's one of the shortest poems I've ever written. Something about what you see is what you saw. Don't forget about Murphy's Law, or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it is. I would really have to scroll down to the bottom of my notes to find that, and I will try to, and I will share it here. It's a good poem, even though it's 4 lines, and then maybe I can talk about what that law means to me, or maybe we can talk about what that law means to you. Everyone's welcome.